Hello and welcome to Hello Governor the podcast. As always, I am Abdullah, and my guest today is Daniel Marin. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Marin?
Yeah, Marin or Marin, it depends on however you want to say it. Kind of like Namor, Namor. It just depends on what language you're speaking that makes a difference. So, if you're speaking in Spanish, it would be Marin. If you're speaking in English, it's Marin. And yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, because I'm terrible when it comes to pronouncing names. Anyone who's listened to this podcast knows this, and I one of the things that always bugs me is like when something is spelt a certain way, but it's not pronounced the way it's spelt, and I'm like, why do
Oh
we
yeah.
do that? Why do we do this? Like, why as a species have we just collectively decided like we can just like spell something a certain way and then pronounce it a different way? It's like
Yeah.
why are we doing this?
Words don't make any sense, especially I think it's the English language. It's so confusing because like you do have words that are like EAR, but then it's like or ear or air, and you're like, which one is it? Just pick one. Pick one and stick to it. No wonder people can't learn new languages.
Yeah, man, it's really annoying and sometimes it's like I hope I'm pronouncing your name right because I'm one of those people who's like I need to hear someone say their name
Right.
because I'm like maybe it's pronounced a different way because I know I'm gonna butcher it because I'm just terrible when it comes to names. Like it's
So
like
yours is Abdullah?
Abdullah Qutbuddin.
Abdullah. Abdullah. Okay.
Mm.
I'll try to
Yeah,
get that. Where are you located?
Kuwait.
Kuwait. Cool.
Yeah. So, first question is the obvious one. Like, what made you wanna pursue acting? Was it something you stumbled upon, or was it just something you always wanted to do?
I think it was always something that was in me since I was a little kid. I have an older brother who's a scientist. And he's very academic and very brain smart. And I was just kind of the kid that I'm the middle child. I always wanted to make people laugh, always enjoyed like that aspect. And on top of that, we moved a lot because my mom used to work for the UN. So we traveled a lot. And every time we moved to a new city, in order for me to like make new friends or, learn new stuff, my parents would put me in like all kinds of classes, whether it was like cooking or guitar or theater. And I always felt like I had an inkling for the arts. And I used to play professional soccer when I was a teenager in Brazil. And then I got injured and kind of just fell into the acting thing because I took a class and I really liked it. And I ended up going to college in the US for acting and kind of just kept going through that trajectory. But I think it was like always part of who I am.
So it was always something you planned on doing. It wasn't something that you just woke up, that you just stumbled across, where you're like, I want to do this, and then and then someone came up to you and be like, oh, maybe you should try acting instead or whatever, you
Oh
know?
no, no. I think it was just something that I really wanted. So much so that in college, I got offered a bunch of scholarships to play like American football or soccer as well because I was a really good kicker. So the American football schools were like, "Hey, you could be a kicker on our team," and I was like, "I don't know the rules." Then they're like, "Well, what about soccer? Do you want a scholarship as a soccer player?" And I was like, "Listen, I want to be an actor, so whatever program I can get into that has a good acting program is what I wanted to do." So it was definitely like part of the plan. Um, how I got remotely successful in acting, I think that's where I kind of just fell into into like, oh, this kind of worked out. But I think also my parents were really encouraging. And that's something that's a rarity, I think, because, having a kid that wants to be in this kind of profession is not an easy pill to swallow for a lot of parents. So I got really lucky that mine were encouraging and kind of helped out along the way of like, yeah, if you want to take a class, that kind of stuff. So definitely was part of my plan for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of times, I am kind of envious of people who say that they grew up having very supportive parents who want to who supported their choice to go into the arts because 9 times out of 10 parents are like, well, why do you want to be an actor? That's stupid. Or why do you want to be an athlete? That's stupid. That makes no sense. And it's like, because it brings me joy. You know, it feel it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it fulfills me. You know, it's like either I mean, especially when you come from a culture where it's like, either you take an office job or nothing, where it's just like,
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. It's like it's like I said, it's rare and also really I'm very lucky that I had parents who did that. And like I said, I had a brother who was a scientist and he has a PhD and is very successful in that area. My dad was a cardiologist. My mom worked for the UN. My younger brother works for a consulting firm. So we're just very varied. And I think my mom, having a background in education, was just able to like foment my interest in the arts and not suffocate it. So I got very lucky and it is really rare, but I also feel like I know people whose parents were the opposite and were like, you can't do it. And yet they did it and are very successful. So I think it's just sometimes it's meant to be for you. It's just a little easier when you have support for sure.
and what do you love and hate about what you do?
Um, that's a good question. I really hate the way the business has sort of transformed into like a money making machine essentially. So like it's if money's not uh gonna be made, then a lot of things aren't getting made now. It's hard to make movies for the love of making movies. And I think, it's like any other business. If, a lot of times people don't want to invest in it if there's no return, which makes sense from a business point of view, but from an artistic point of view, it's hard because people like me who are sort of not well known, but like have an established sort of career now. It's getting hard for us to get more roles because the people who were uh, established celebrities or whatever are getting those roles now because less stuff is getting made. So that to me is like the thing that bugs me the most. But when you do get a job, it's very fulfilling and it's very awesome. And right now with Marvel Rivals, for example, I'm writing this incredible wave of like really fun. I get to meet a lot of fans and go to conventions and that kind of stuff. So I think that side I really like. I also never thought I would like having quote unquote fans. Yeah, but it can be very fulfilling too. It can be really fun. But I also just feel like whenever you do get a job, it's like hitting the lottery because it's so hard to get work that when you do get it, it's really fun. It's like this accomplishment, and then you get to embody a new character, a new person, and really like dig your teeth into that kind of stuff. So the artistic side is what I love. The business side, not so much.
It's funny you say that because I remember talking to someone and I don't I mean I'm in the same boat as you are where I don't like the fact that we're still at that point where we're just like casting people who because they're just recognizable names as opposed to people who just, want to act, It's like especially for if it's like a supporting role or something that's really small and it's like why are we casting why are we casting this celebrity in this like role when we can just like cast someone who just is an actor, I mean, you see that a lot with voiceover where everything, everyone's like trying, the voice actors are getting phased out in favor of celebrities, and it's really I look at that and I'm like, who is this for? Like, because kids don't care and adults sure as hell don't care. So like, why are we casting all these like quote unquote named actors in these projects when 9 times out of 10 the average person isn't going to notice?
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I feel like it's the safe thing to do, right? To cast a famous actor or a famous voice or something because you know that people are gonna be like, oh, I know who that is. I'll go watch that or I'll go listen to that or do whatever it is. But on the flip side, there's those rare gems that when you get it, like it's going back to Rivals, it's very. I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Is like it's so well cast. And none of us are really celebrities. There's a few well-known actors in the cast, but like nobody's like a famous, holy moly, you got this person. Um, but then, it's like a gem because we got so lucky and now people come up and tell me like I can't imagine Namor without your voice. And that's awesome. Like what a gift, right? To be able to do that. But I was a relatively nobody before this role. And so I got really lucky. I got lucky that the project came along at the right time and they were open to cast new people. Um, and that a character like Namor was available to voice because imagine if they were like, "Hey, you're gonna voice the Hulk." I'd be like, "No, no, I'm not." There's somebody who is that voice. Um, so it is kind of neat. It's like there is the opportunity every now and then when it does come, and now I hope that like having this under my belt now leads to more work, and I become that person to be like, "Oh, we need that guy that sounds sort of like this. Oh, let's get Daniel." Like that's kind of where I'm hoping things go from here.
And speaking of rivals, like how did that whole thing come about? Like, was that a general audition?
Yeah, yeah, I get my auditions from my agent, and with video games in particular, you don't know what you're auditioning for. So they'll send the script, and it's always with a code. Um, and like mine, I should have known because they sent a picture of Namor, but it said like this is kind of the vibe of who he is, and he's the Prince of the Seas. So I was like, well, it's either gonna be Namor or Aquaman or some new IP that is this embodiment. I didn't know there was an actual Marvel video game that was gonna be successful even. It was just another audition I got. And I sent it in. I actually remember I sent it in late. I forgot about it because they sent it in like Friday evening and they were like, it's due Monday morning. And I just forgot about it. I have two little kids. So Monday afternoon came and my agent's assistant was like, "Hey, are you gonna send this in?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot." I quickly recorded it and I sent it in, and then I didn't hear about it for like 7 months. And I was telling somebody yesterday, I was at the aquarium with my kids petting a stingray when I got the email from my agent saying, "Hey, you booked Namor on Marvel Rivals." I was like, "What? What are the chances that I'm in the aquarium?" Um, so that was just like, yeah, another audition that I got, and it turned out to be just one of the best projects I've ever been a part of.
Like you said, it was kind of interesting that he was even included in the game because with a lot of Marvel projects nowadays, they tend to play it safe where they just get the most recognizable characters, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, what have you. So his inclusion was kind of a surprise because, outside of, Wakanda Forever, the character has not been like, I wouldn't say I mean, let's be honest. He was never that really. He was never really that popular. So his inclusion in this was kind of a surprise to me because it's like, oh, Namor's in this. That's kind of cool. I didn't expect out of all the characters, I didn't expect him to be in it. But then it's like, well, he is a mutant, so his inclusion is like one of those like, well, we're eventually going to put in the X-Men in this, but we don't want it to. We don't want to overstuff the roster with too much X-Men. That's kind of the thing I'm worried about, where it's like, is it going to be like too much X-Men characters? Because, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because this game they did have a lot of the quote unquote established characters like Iron Man and Hulk and Wolverine now. Like they when I think when it started, yeah, Spidey was there. And there were quite a few well-known characters, and then they sprinkled in, and they have sprinkled in new characters that people didn't know, but now have become like pop culture, like Luna Snow, Squirrel Girl, Namor. And what's funny in particular with Namor is that like he's been a part of so many different groups, Avengers, Phoenix Force, Illuminati, X-Men. He seems to be like, well, because he's the only sort of water hero that everybody's like, oh, we need an aquatic superhero in our group. Let's put him in, and it's always him. And so I think it's like it kind of is poetic that he's part of Rivals because it's another thing. We needed the water guy. Um, but I do love that the game sort of has made him resurface. He was the second hero made. It was him and Captain America, and I can't remember who the third one was. Maybe Human Torch. I'm not sure. But to have like he's the oldest and first mutant in comics. So it's kind of cool that they brought him in, and I hope that like this puts him into more stuff. And I know that with the MCU movies, they're bringing him back for a couple of the new things, and I'm really glad that Black Panther 2 exists because I probably wouldn't be in the game if it weren't for that, for sure.
It's yeah, like I said, like I mean, his inclusion was kind of a surprise because you know Namor is one of those characters who is prevalent in a lot of things, but I can't like for the life of me remember most of the stuff did in the comics. I'm like, yeah, I mean he was there for that event, but I barely remember him doing anything like of substance. Like you know, I mean he's just there to fill out the the roster.
Yeah, but it's also a blessing for me because I get to sort of create him from the ground up in terms of where he goes from this point forward, you know. If he had been a very established character, I would have been compared to whoever had voiced him before, you know. It's like Yuri who does Spider-Man, he's been Spider-Man. If I came in and they were like, "Oh, Daniel, you're gonna be the new Spidey," everybody be like, "What is this?" No, 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 no. It's either Yuri or Josh Keaton. We don't want this new Daniel guy, fake voicing him. So I would have always been compared. Same with like Iron Man or whatever, And so I think the fact that Namor wasn't well known, it kind of gives me this like opportunity to sort of put my own spin on him, and hopefully from this point forward, people associate me with him to the point where if somebody else voices him, they're gonna be like, "Hey, that's not our Namor. We wanted, Daniel to do it." And then that's kind of, what I hope happens.
And what are some of your favorite lines?
In the game, I mean, he's so full of himself and confident. So things where he's like, those who oppose me shall be left to drown in my wake. It's just so powerful. Even things when he quips is like, drown them, or, his lines with Susan Storm, I think, are really funny. When, she says something, he goes, "Ooh, Susan, you wound me." It's very playful. He's like a very, I don't know. I really like Namor, and I've been reading a lot of comics with him, and I feel like he's just a misunderstood dude who just wants to rule over his piece over his people and have a beautiful queen by his side. And humans just keep messing it up for him. And so, he becomes this like an antagonist or a villain or an anti-hero, however you want to call him. But, if he's on your side, he's a good guy. And when you get in his way, well, he's gonna be a bad guy because you're in his way. So, I think he's got a lot of really fun lines that have come up, and I also really like the interactions with Jeff. They're really cute. Like, come with me, little one. Together we can rule the world. All those things are really fun for me, I think.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they got that aspect of his character right. I mean, he is very thirsty for Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He's very thirsty for all the women, I think. I remember, he's had a thing with Emma. He's had the hots for, I think even he hit on Psylocke one time, and Psylocke was like, "Nope," and he's like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool." But I think, yeah, if any of the women, gave him any attention, he'd definitely go for them. I think definitely Susan is his number one and will always be, no matter what.
Yeah. And you know, seeing as this is an ongoing game and you know more stuff is being added to it constantly, I mean, I'm pretty sure the devs have a whole roadmap like lined out for years to come. What are you hoping for any certain costumes to get added for Namor as the game goes on?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. I think like something with Phoenix Force would be really cool. Like something fire related would be really neat. He has this really cool black one that I think is from Uncanny X-Men, um, which is like a black sort of open-chested thing. He's got the New Avengers one, which is also pretty cool. But I would also really love to just see him in the original classic, just like the green little shorts, or like it's like a Speedo, really. And just his muscles just showing everywhere. I know he's got the Wakanda Forever one that kind of has that, but I kind of just want the original Submariner outfit. I think that'd be really cool too.
Yeah, I mean, Thor got his like classic outfit. Like, why doesn't Namor get his classic outfit? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I would love to see it, and I would love to see, how they make it so that it translates and works. But at this point, I think every skin that has come out has been really neat. I've really enjoyed them. I usually play with either the new X-Men skin that came out, or the Wakanda Forever one. But they're all really cool. I think they've had some really cool concepts for them for sure.
The X-Men skin was kind of a surprise because it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like they're doing something different with this, and like, and yet he was a member of the X-Men, so this is, technically canon. But it is interesting seeing him in the classic, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because he
yeah,
never wore that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, which is, and it's an interesting take on the character. I mean, I do wish that this is my hot take. I do wish like his default head for his head for the X-Men outfit was his default head for all his outfits because it looks cooler. Because I don't like the haircut. I don't like his default haircut. It's just that it's too much. It's too much.
Wait, you don't like the green hair or you don't like the short hair?
I mean, I like the X-Men one, like the shorter
Oh,
hair,
you like
like
the
the.
X-Men one? Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I like the fade. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. I like the fade. I think it looks nicer, more cleaner.
It's really cool. I mean, yeah, I think, there's been comics where Namor had long hair, and it was always kind of like wild and unruly. Um, but I don't mind the green hair. At first, when I first saw it, I thought it was like, whoa, he looks really strange. Like I've never seen him in this version, but it kind of grew on me, and it made sense. Like if you ever see like surfers that are spend a lot of time at the beach, their hair is like sort of bleach blonde with a little bit of green from like the algae that gets in there and that kind of stuff. So I could see why he'd have this long green and blonde hair. But it's like a thing where like people either gonna like it or not, and I don't know, maybe the next one he'll have long black hair and they'll just mix it up on him.
I guess like what kind I think what it what do you call it? I hate this term, but people use it a lot. It's the silhouette, the it's this thing about character design where it's like, oh, everything has to be a silhouette. It has to be recognizable as silhouette, and it's like, yeah, but at the same time, it's like some of these design choices are, yeah, I don't want to say they're bad, but they're just odd. They're just really really odd. Stuff like Rocket having a mohawk is, I'm fine with that, but other stuff is kind of. But other stuff is kind of weird. Just like, okay, that's a weird design choice. And I would, and as speaking as someone who plays a lot of Punisher, I would like a version of Punisher where where he doesn't have the skull face paint, because I don't like the fact that his default has the skull face paint, has the tactical camo, and the only one that doesn't is the Thunderbolts one. And I'm not
Mm.
a fan of the Thunderbolts one. I'm just like, can you just like, basically what I'm trying to say is like, just give me the classic Frank Castle, the dumb like white gloves, white boots, and like the skull, the giant skull, you know, like
It's
give
funny
me that.
because I feel like skins are such a particular thing that people get really possessive of, like and what I've learned is that everybody has different opinions and you can't please everyone. So I think what they're doing with like releasing new skins as often as they are is kind of like, appealing to a lot of people, and you do get the choice. You'll get the choice of like, I want to play with a pink and purple Namor, or, the Wakanda Forever version. I think it's going to appeal to everybody. And even with the X-Men one, people are like, oh, it's Dominican Namor. And I'm like, whatever it is, I think it's cool and it's inclusive and a lot of people are happy about it. Other people hate it. And at the end of the day, I think the developers it's hard to please everybody. And I think they're doing a pretty good job at least giving us options for sure.
Oh man, if you want controversy, people lost their minds when it was revealed like the Iron Fist wasn't going to be Danny Rand. Everyone was like, "How can it not be Danny Rand?" But it's like, and I just wanted to say, because Danny Rand isn't that interesting of a character. I'm sorry. Like I mean, I'm
Mm,
of the opinion of like, I like Iron Fist as a concept. I just don't think Danny Rand is that interesting of a character. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't go with him as the default Iron Fist because, I'm,
Yeah, also it's there's there's more inclusion this way. It's like the same thing with Psylocke, making her, Japanese it is true to a certain version of the comics. But a lot of people are up in arms because it wasn't the original white chick. And you're like, well, there's other white chicks. There's Dagger and there's Susan. There's options. So I think doing it this way where you could have more variation, and people were mad originally that Namor wasn't a white British sounding guy, and they were like, well, why does he have to be Hispanic? And it's like, well, why not? It's inclusive, it's representative, and honestly, there's no reason. He's a guy from the ocean. Who cares where he's from? Like if he speaks in Spanish or any other language. So I think. I kind of like it. I like that they do all these things. If people are gonna get mad at that there's a land shark that sort of mumbles, It's like it is what it is. I think I like it. So I don't know.
yeah, I mean it's just I mean I'm all for, inclusivity, and I honestly do think that we do need like more people of color characters because I'm kind of disappointed that the only three black characters we got are Black Panther, Storm, and Cloak. Like, come on, guys, we can do better than that.
Yeah, there's I mean, I don't know that I can actually spoil anything, but I think we will see more very soon.
And out of all the characters, like, do you play any character besides Namor, or are you just like strictly just like Namor every match? I don't want to pick any other character.
I have no more lorded on console and PC. So I've played him a lot. Um and it gets to the point where sometimes I like to shake it up, but I'm just not good with other people. So I started playing Squirrel Girl, because she's relatively easy to play. Um, and I kind of like her kit. I like what she does, so I've gotten used to her. I'm actually pretty good with Squirrel Girl. And I play I play Dagger, but not Cloak. I don't know how to play Cloak yet. So if I play healing, I'm usually playing just strictly Dagger, and my teammates always get mad at me. Um, and I'm starting to learn Hulk primarily because when I stream when I play, so a lot of people in my chat will come in and they'll be like, "Oh, is it okay if I play with Namor?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, do it." And every time I play with Namor, somebody jumps in as Hulk to give me the team up, and now I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to provide that as well. So, I'm starting to learn Hulk, but I am definitely not good with him.
Hulk is an interesting character because he does not play the way you expect him to play. But once you get the hang of him, he's really good, and I do like the team up with him and Namor. I mean, like that is pretty much like well, so much better than the Luna Snow one, I think, honestly, because it's just like just drop a gamma squid and just like watch it go.
Yeah, it's funny. I really miss the Luna team up. I think there was more chance of getting to play the team up when Luna was around because, a lot of people could be like, I could be a healer and not worry. When you're Hulk, I feel like Hulk is so specific that most people that play him don't know how to. And so they'll start the game and I'll get the team up, and then halfway through the game be like, I can't be Hulk anymore. We need to switch it up. And so I lose my team up. Versus before, when I had Lunas on the team, they would play the whole game and I had my team up. So it's like a give and take. And now there's a lot of like really strong characters, especially with the flying meta. So Hulk isn't getting banned as much, but it's hard to play a Hulk when you have Ultron and Iron Man and Storm and Hela and they're all flying everywhere and you're like, somebody do something up here. So people are like, I can't be Hulk because I can't. It's hard to get people down from the air. You have to like really, really get that aim correctly.
I think Hulk is at his best when he's good defense. I think, if you can get him and, Thing and maybe Thor, they're good defense characters, but like, offense, I don't know, man. It's tough. Like offense, like you would really have to have a really good team with you. Like you need the problem with the tanks in this game is like you need a healer with you constantly because you will die really fast. Like that's the problem with a lot of the tanks. It's like yes, they have a lot of health, but Like when you have like tons of people shooting at you and throwing shit at you, you're gonna die real quick. And so you kind of need a healer to keep healing you constantly. It's like the same problem I had with Wolverine at launch. Like Wolverine was kind of tough to play at first, but once you get the hang of him, and if you have a really good healer on your team, you can do a lot of damage. Like I remember going like clean sweep with his ult on in one game, and I'm like, man, this is really good. Like I it's I mean, I'm not saying like there's not a learning curve to some characters. I mean, because there is, but I think you know it's you kind of need a good team because if you
Yeah.
don't, then oh boy.
Yeah, I honestly, I think in general, even when I play as Namor, I think not having a good team is pretty much impossible to have a good game. Um, it's like yesterday I played my chat in my stream was they convinced me to play as Black Panther. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I ended up with 11 kills, which I thought was pretty successful for my first time ever as Black Panther. Um, but it was really difficult. There are some characters that are just really difficult. I've tried Wolverine one time and failed after 13 seconds and I got out. Um, there's some characters that are just really hard. I even have a hard time as a healer. I think healers have the hardest job because they have to keep everybody alive, themselves alive, and still get yelled at for when somebody dies. And it's like, well, what can we do here? I have no idea. I'm like supporting the support because I don't know how to play them and I can't do what they do. So it's in general the game I think is made specifically so that you do have to work with a team to do a good job, Nobody is going to solo carry anything. It's impossible.
Yeah, especially when I had no idea that they were gonna do the whole like each update they're gonna change like the meta by like taking out certain team ups because it's a lot tougher now to play Punisher and Bucky because they don't have the ammo thing. They don't have the infinite ammo team up with Rocket.
Hmm.
So it becomes really tough. It's like, well, Bucky only has 3 bullets, so if you're not like really good with him, if you're one of those players who got used to like the infinite ammo, oh boy. I mean, and Punisher is just like Punisher used to be overpowered at launch, but now he's much more balanced. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a terrible character now, but I mean, he's like it is much tougher playing Punisher now than it was at launch. Same thing with Moon Knight. Moon Knight used to do like a lot of damage, but now he's like they nerfed him real good. So, like, you know.
Yeah, I try to ban Punisher whenever I play comp right now. I always get obliterated by him. It doesn't matter where he's out on the map. I'll come out and I'll just get shot at and I'm like Punisher. Like my top bans are Punisher, Groot, and Human Torch right now. I think those are the three that I'm trying to ban every time I can. I don't even bother with Spider-Man anymore. Like he's just never played, and when he is, no more takes him out really easily.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, God, there's always that one Spider-Man that I have trouble with, where it's like, sometimes you'll run into like a decent Spider-Man that you can handle, but other times you'll run into a Spider-Man who'll just like kick your ass, and it's like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah. It
one.
feels like every. Oh, go
Like
ahead.
I remember one time like I was just like I died and respawned and the Spider-Man was waiting out for me, but I didn't see him and then he just like showed up out of nowhere. I'm like, get away.
Yeah, it feels to be like every game there's one character that, or every time I play, there's one character on every team that I play against that is just a nuisance. And sometimes it's Scarlet Witch, sometimes it's Iron Fist, and you're like, why is this character the meta tonight and the most annoying character in the universe?
And it's constantly changing. I mean, they're constantly adding new characters. I remember Emma, when she was released, like everyone was playing her. And now, like, no one, not, I mean, you still see Emma, but she's not as, like, prevalent. Same thing with Ultron. Ultron, I think my hot take with Ultron is, like, if he didn't have the Iron Man team up, I don't think anybody would have picked him because he's,
Hmm.
like, a very confusing character to play where it's like, I see what they were going for with him, but it's just he's such a weird character. Like, you have to have, like, a lot of patience. I mean, he's much more. he can only heal it once, and then he has the whole shield thing, and it's like, okay, he doesn't do a
Mhm.
lot of damage, but I mean, if you can, but if you know what you're doing, you can get like a lot of assists, and you can really like his ult, man. His ult is really good, so. But he's a tough character to play, especially when he's like constantly flying, and it's like, oh, this is disorienting. And sometimes, like, some of the maps, like, you're trying to fly, high so no one can hit you, but like it's like there's just low ceilings, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
ugh, I hate this.
I played Ultron one time and that was it. I was like, I can't control him. The only flyer that I've been sort of able to play with a little bit was Human Torch, and that was last season, not this season. I haven't played with him this season.
Oh, I tried Human Torch, I think, once, and I'm like, I don't like this. This is just
The
like.
flyers, people always ask me like, "Oh, why isn't Namor flying? He should be able to fly. He flies in the comics and he flies in the movie, whatever." And it's like I used to say that if Namor could fly, he'd be just unstoppable. He's already so powerful. To then give him the ability to fly and not be hit would be insane. And now I'm like, well, he should be able to fly now. There's so many flyers. Imagine Namor up there with them, kind of stopping them or taking them out or fighting with them. It'd be pretty great.
Yeah, you kind of need like, I mean, Star-Lord has the whole thing where he, leaps forward, so it's like, maybe do something with that. I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I do think like the flying characters are more annoying to deal with because it's like, how do you counter that? Sometimes you look at that and it's like, well, I'm playing so and so, and I don't think they have a good counter for that. And like I said, with tanks, it's much more difficult because it's like sometimes they don't have like a way to get to
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to fight back.
it would be hard. Maybe Penny, but maybe yeah, you have to have somebody who can like shoot from far away and like actually hit him. I've been doing pretty good as Squirrel Girl taking Iron Man out, and like I've been told that that's impressive because I don't know the difference. I don't know that you shouldn't be able to do it, but that's kind of what I've been trying to do is every time I play Squirrel Girl as an Iron Man, I'm just shooting my nuts right at him, like trying to knock him out.
I mean, that's the same thing with me. Whenever I see Iron Man as Punisher, I'm like I'm trying to shoot him down, but it's like really difficult and it's just really annoying. And with Punisher, you're like constantly just looking for spots to go full turret because he does a lot more
Yeah.
damage at full turret. But then, but but it becomes harder because like everyone knows where all the spots are now, and it's like crap.
Yeah. I love when I'm Squirrel Girl and I see a Punisher, I just destroy his turret. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl does a lot of damage, and like I played her a couple times, but she I don't know, like I don't want to say she's a terrible character, but I think like it was just I'm like this is okay, I know it's okay, basically what I'm trying to say is like she didn't really click with me, and I know that she does a lot of damage, but at the same time, it's like, I have more fun playing the thing, like
Mm.
I because I'm one of those weirdos who's like, I want to play a character that I actually like from the comics, and that'd be great, like, and not
Yeah, did you
struggle.
what game did you used to play before Rivals?
What? Oh God. Am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to say Overwatch? I mean, are people gonna get mad at
Yeah.
me for saying
I
Overwatch?
everybody asks me if I played. I didn't even know Overwatch existed before Rivals came out, and it's no diss to the game. It's just I've always played Call of Duty. That was like my game. For the last like 15 years of my life, I played Call of Duty every night. And so when Rivals came out, people were like, "Oh, it's just like Overwatch." I'm like, I've never played it. So I was really even hesitant to play Rivals because I was like, I'm not good at the 6v6 third person characters. It's like I tried Fortnite and I couldn't deal with the third person situation. So Rivals is the first time that I played with a third person character. Um, and then everybody's like, I asked them like, should I try Overwatch? And they're like, no, it's kind of the same thing, and you'll just enjoy Rivals more. I just feel like now people are starting to go back to Overwatch just because there's been issues with like the quote unquote community. of Rivals. Um, but overall, like I think Rivals is gonna stick around, and I think it's really fun. Um, but I guess what I was getting at is I like Namor and I like Squirrel Girl because coming from Call of Duty, the ability to be able to shoot somebody from far away and hit them um, is kind of like sniping to me. It's the same kind of vibe, or like throwing grenades. I aim Squirrel Girl's nuts the same way I would aim uh, a sticky grenade in Call of Duty. So that's why I asked.
No, because I mean I did play a little bit of Call of Duty like back in like 2018 or so, but again, my problem with Call of Duty is like, it's impossible to get into because 9 times out of 10 I'm just getting killed by people who are just camping and I'm like I don't like this.
Right,
This is just not fun for me. And with Overwatch, it was much more simpler. I understood what they were going for. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this, I can do that. It's like same thing with Rivals. You just pick like a couple characters that you're good at and
right.
just have fun with that. And I played that for however, for as long, and then I dropped and then just lost interest because I'm like, well, there's not much to do, and I'm having that same problem with Rivals right now where it's like, outside of like lording a character and, grinding to get like a specific skin I want, there's not much else going on here, and that kind of like, that kind of bugs me because I'm like, I do like Rivals, but, my problem with it is like, if you're gonna have like live service games and you're gonna like, keep me hooked on, playing your game for however long as you want me to play it, you got to give me something for it. You got to give me something in return. Got to give me that return investment. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool to like grind for costumes and what have you, but it's like I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm not. I don't play that much. That I don't play Magneto that much, so I'm not gonna use his new
Yeah,
skin that
right.
I unlocked. So it's like, and I already have a Magneto skin that I like. So it's like, you know, I like the House of M one. I'm sorry, it's much better than the stupid Ultron one. I'm like, yeah, the stupid Terminator one where it's like, edgy, try hard shit.
I'm really envious of people who can play multiple characters and have multiple lords. And I'm just like, I can barely play one well, and I voice him. So it's hard because yeah, you want to like, do stuff, but it's also a thing where like, people complain a lot about, oh, there's not enough skins for this character. I'm like, Namor has I think 6 or 7 skins out. And it's like at one point people are just gonna like there's 33 characters or 34, I don't even know how many characters now, but they keep adding new people. So, I think it's hard. It's again, it goes back to like it's hard to please everybody because, not everybody plays no more. And they don't care for the new Twitch drop that just came out with no more, or Magic. I've never played Magic in my life, but I have like 5 skins for her. But I think it's still kind of cool. I think it's cool to like give you something to do. I always do the missions whenever I'm feeling stagnant. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like playing today. I'm like, I'll just go do the missions and unlock some cool things, and maybe that'll keep me busy. And I do. And I also stream, so playing with like my viewers kind of shakes things up a little bit of like the not redundancy, but like the repetitive aspect of playing video games is it's a little bit kind of mixes it up, so it's fun.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to grind out for like in-game currency and you're like, is that enough? No, it's not enough. Ah, damn it.
Right, right, right. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish like the profile leveling up system gave you better rewards or just gave you any rewards because I'm like at level 42 or something, and I'm like I'm not like where are my rewards? Like, what is the point of having like what is the point of leveling up my player profile if I'm not getting anything out of it? Like, it makes no sense to me.
Are you a comp player? Do you grind comp a lot?
Oh God, listen. I used to play a lot of Overwatch comp, and those were like some of the worst. Like one of the worst periods of my life. Like, because I was like, I want my Reaper golden guns. I will do anything for the Reaper golden guns. And then I just like remember grinding and grinding and grinding. I used to just play comp constantly, and it was like just very stressful, very annoying. And somehow the Marvel Rivals experience is even worse than that because it's like comp is just not fun for me like at all. And at the same and I look at the skins that they're offering and I'm like, you know, I mean I just like, I do a part of me wants a golden Ultron or a golden like Emma Frost, but at the same time it's like, do I really want to subject myself to the constant what do you call it? Uh do I really want to subject myself to comp? Because comp is just not, it's not fun, like at all. Like at all. Because, people are just like, like you have to, with comp, I feel like I'm the only one who has to play healer because no one else wants to play healer. And I'm like, well, okay. And the only healer character I'm good at is Rocket Raccoon, so it's like, I'm sorry if that's not good enough for you guys, but he's the only one I'm good at. So
Yeah, it can be tough, man. I've gone through my waves of really enjoying comp and then really suffering at comp, but at the end of the day, I feel like I try to keep a positive attitude about everything that I'm doing because if I'm not having fun, then I'm not gonna do it. And it's like when I play comp and I start really feeling, oh no, the burnout is coming, I'll just hop off and do something else. I went up to plat 2. I think that's my highest ranking, and then I immediately went back down to gold 2. I was like, no, no, all my hard work. But I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep trying. I want to at least get to plat 1. That's my goal, is to be able to do that and then call it. I don't need to be the best. I don't need to be one above all. I just want to play and say that I'm good enough to get to platinum 1, and that's it.
oh man, I couldn't even get to silver. It was just so tough. It's like, I just need to get to gold. I just need to get to gold, and I just couldn't. Like it's just such a pain. And I'm like, I don't like doing this. And sometimes you'll just wait for hours to find a match, and then it's like someone quits midway, and then it has to and the game ends, and I'm like, oh God, I
Yeah,
don't know.
the quitting is really frustrating. I know that, like, whenever I'm playing and we're not doing so hot, people just start being like, let's forfeit. And I'm like, no, because now I know that you don't care about this match anymore. You're just gonna give up. And then the rest of the match is just basically trying to prevent my team from forfeiting, and it's over. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what can be done about that. But that to me is the most frustrating, is when your team gives up and you're just like, I'm not giving up, I'm trying, but here we are.
I mean, this is a controversial opinion, but I honestly think that, if you're playing comp and someone quits during the start and it ends, the match, then you should like, your team should automatically win or your team should automatically lose based on whoever quit. Like why are we just like wasting our time? Why do we get nothing out of this? Where it's like, can we just like get a little bit of XP or something, something, just to make the rank go up. I'm not asking for much, I know, but at the same time, it's like, what can you do about the random quitters that just randomly quit and play comp once and then they don't like it and then they just quit halfway through and then the game's over and it's like, well, find another game and it's like,
Yeah, or at the very least, if somebody on your team quits, to not take away points from you, just leave you neutral. Like, you don't gain any points and let the other team gain points for winning, but you shouldn't lose and get deranked. That would make sense to me. It's not your fault. Why should I derank back to, I don't know, silver because my teammates quit?
yeah, it's just again, I just don't like competitive. I just don't like comp because I mean it's the same problem with Overwatch where it's like sometimes you're doing hot and then someone quits and then the game's over and it's like
Right.
like why are we doing this? Like I'm of the opinion, and I don't care if this sounds harsh, but like if you don't want to play comp, don't play comp. I don't like why is this still a discussion? Like why if you don't want to play comp, if you don't want to like put in the effort, if you don't want to like play that mode of the game, you have other modes to play. You can just quick match forever. Like it doesn't matter. Like sure you're not gonna get the exclusive like skin that they offer every season for playing comp, but that's like whatever. Most of them most of them are just repaints anyway. You can just like the best skins are the ones you pay for with money. That's how they monetize this. So it's like, if you're that bummed out that you'll never have like the that one skin that was only available via like comp, then I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just
Yeah, it's a hard thing because again, it's like such an opinion-based type thing. Like I'm personally enjoying the game and I really like it and I'm having fun with it still. Um I know a lot of people that aren't and they burnt out already and it's kind of a shame because I feel like the game has like a incredible potential and it's really fun even as it is right now. And there are people that are just really not happy with it, and I feel like it's just what it is. It's like you can't please everybody. Um, but I really dislike that people that aren't happy with it are ruining it for others. That's kind of where I'm at.
yeah, I don't know why people do that. I'm personally like not, I play the game a lot and Lord knows I have my issues with it, but I'm not like constantly trying to make it everyone else's problem. I'm just like, I don't like this aspect of the game, and sometimes I'll just like, you know what? I don't have to play this every day, I'll just play it whenever I feel like it. And that's, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss that attitude because it's like, if something is not fun for you, why are you like subjecting yourself to it? Like, just play whenever you want to play and
Right.
do what
So
do what you
so what do you like about the game?
Oh God. I mean, I like Hella, you know. Does that count?
Yeah, I mean, she's awesome. She's really, really good.
In polarizing character as she is, like, season zero Hella, awesome. Post season zero Hella, they don't know what to do with her. Like sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not, and it's like I don't care, I still love playing with her. She's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, she dies a lot, but I mean, come on, man. She's voiced by Nika Futterman. Like, do I need another reason? Come
Nika's
on.
amazing. I like her a lot. She's a sweetheart. I'm
And
actually doing an event with her soon, so I'm excited for that. Because I really like her.
oh man,
Um,
I do love the fact that we are in a Nika Futterman resurgence. That she's in that period of her career where she's like in a successful video game. She's finally back as a Saj Ventress. Career resurgence. She's doing more events. She's being more open to, you know, she's no longer being a hermit and hiding. So it's cool. Like it's a lot of fun. Um, yeah, yeah. You mentioned like meeting other cast members. Like, I'm kind of wondering, like, is there any member of the cast you've still yet to meet?
oh, there's a lot that I haven't met yet. I haven't met Yuri. I haven't met um Nolan, and I haven't met. I mean, there's quite a few that I haven't met. I've met a lot of them. I think I've met. I want to say 20 or 21 out of the 30, whatever characters there are. Um, so there are a few that I haven't had a chance to meet. I'm hoping that I will at some point. But in the meantime, the ones that I have met are all really cool. There's a lot of really cool people in this cast. So we've lucked out. We've lucked out that I've made some really good friends. Elia Mountjoy, who plays Winter Soldier, um, Alpha, who's Psylocke, Jordan, who's Adam Warlock, and his wife Mara, who's Storm, and myself. We've all kind of made like a little tight unit, like really close friends. Elia and I have become like practically brothers. We talk every single day. So it's been really nice. It's been really nice to like we found a group of people that we get along with. Um, it's rare. Like I was in Call of Duty and I couldn't tell you another actor in it that I've talked to. I've met a few subsequently, but we're like friends online kind of thing. With this game, we've all become like pretty good friends, which is kind of cool and rare.
Yeah, I kind of forgot you were in Call of Duty because it's just like they have so many operators and so many people have been part of that cast over the years, and I'm just like, oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's a thing that's funny because, the difference between the two games for me is that unless you've selected Gus, my character in Call of Duty, you would have never heard my lines. But in Rivals, you don't have to play as Namor to hear the lines. Anybody in the game, even on the opposing team, could be it, and you'll hear those lines. So we live in people's ears, and everybody knows who we are. If you've played the game, you know who Namor is, you know who Winter Soldier is. You know, you don't ever have to play Bucky to hear again. Like those lines are in our ears all the time. And so I think there's more of a connection with players and fans because, you know, you don't have to select my character to hear my voice. You can just play the game and you'll hear it. At some point, one way or another, you're gonna hear my lines. And so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love about it is like, yes, the lines are repetitive, but they stick with you and people remember them and there's there's a point to it, it I feel like, if you're gonna do the whole like select multiple characters and they're all unique and stuff like that, just give them a unique personality. I think the problem with the Call of Duty system, the operator system, is that while you do have a lot of options to pick from different characters, but a lot of them don't have personalities. So it's like Soldier Guy 1 and Soldier Guy 2, and Soldier Guy 2 is wearing like a different headgear, or so Soldier
Yeah,
Guy 2 is like,
it's all cosmetics.
yeah.
In Rivals, each character has its own unique set of skills, and they work in tandem with each other. So there is a difference there of like in Call of Duty, it's the cosmetics. Even the voice, you know, is a cosmetic because they all operate the same way. Um, versus Rivals, yeah, like you're gonna fly if you're Human Torch, and you're gonna swim under the ground if you're Jeff. In Call of Duty, you can be the cat, you know, Sergeant. I voiced a character called Sergeant Ps, who's a cat. Um, he's gonna do the exact same thing that Ghost is gonna do. It's just the voice and the cosmetics are different.
Yeah, it's like while I do think it's kind of funny that they're adding like all these celebrities and stuff like that to Call of Duty. It doesn't make much of a difference where it's just a cosmetic stuff. It's like, I'm a huge Skeletor fan and I kind of was like, huh, they're adding him to the game. Does he do anything different? And not really. And it's like a and it's the Mark Hamill version of Skeletor, so it's not the classic version of Skeletor. So the actor who
Right.
who who was brought in had to do like a Mark Hamill impression. I'm like, okay, like what is the point of adding Skeletor to Call of Duty if you're not gonna have like someone yell out like yell out order say what do you call it, RPG here, He-Man, or whatever, where it's like eh. Enemy over there, He-Man.
So someone told me they're about to add Beavis and Butthead to Call of Duty, which I think is so hilarious.
I mean, look, man, if they can get Mike Judd to record lines for that, I'm all in. I'm like, I don't care. This is dumb, but it'd be worth it.
That'd be pretty funny.
Like I was
Like,
just
got him.
like I was just thinking about this the other day, where it's like, if they're gonna add like Hank Hill to Fortnite, why don't they just add him to Call of Duty? Like, that'd be amazing. That'd be like, just put him in the next Call of Duty and watch that game sell like gangbusters.
It'd be pretty funny, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, and speaking of like, Call of Duty, like, do you still keep up with that game, or are you just like, I'm done, like I'm done with it.
I I went through a period last year where it was really hard to get back into it because you never knew if you were dying to a hacker or a good player. Um, but they've done something in the last update that changed that, and I started playing it again, and I stream it almost nightly now. Elia and I play every night, whether on stream or off, and it's been really fun. Like I think they were able to figure out the hacking system, so you don't know it. And I'm not saying we haven't encountered hackers because I'm pretty sure we have, but for the most part, you're like, oh man, they just outplayed me, which I think is a refreshing sort of take. Because before, if you don't know if you're dying to a hacker or a good player, it you immediately assume it's a hacker. And it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to something so terrible? Um, But with the change, I feel like now it's gotten really fun again. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping up with it. I'm playing it a lot now. So I really enjoy that game. And it's kind of refreshing to go back and forth between the two. It's just like a little, shaking it up.
Yeah, because you need that. Because I don't know how many times I can like play Rivals and get beaten by Jeff's stupid ult. I'm like, this is bullshit, bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. I mean, you know, I didn't set out to be a streamer. It's kind of just happened, talking about like, stumbling upon things. Um, but now that I am doing it, I'm doing it basically nightly. It's hard to play the same game over and over and over and over and over and over. So having the variety, I think is pleasant. It kind of keeps things like engaging and fun for me, especially. So, I hope to throw some more games into the mix, but for now it's those two.
Yeah, it's tough like doing like the whole streaming thing because it's like, you got to make it interesting and you can't like again with Rivals it's like, yeah, the stuff's there, but if you're going to be, I don't know how some people can just be like, I only stream Call of Duty or I only stream Marvel Rivals, I only stream Overwatch and stuff like that because I just want to ask these people, don't you ever get burnt out? Because I remember getting burnt out of Overwatch for playing it for how many years I played it, and same thing with Rivals. Like, if if I played that game every single day of my life, I would get bored of it. I would get burnt out of it. I would hate it because like someone made a great point in that, when you play a game for an ungodly amount of time, you start to notice things that only you would notice because you've been playing it for that long, and then you have that sense of realization where you're like, huh, am I the only one noticing this, or is it just like because I'm only noticing this because I've invested like X amount of hours into this? Because it's just one of those things where you know you what do you call it? It's basically what I'm trying to say is like, if you're gonna invest your life on playing one game, you got to make it fun. You got to make sure that that game's fun for you, and if you're not having fun with it, don't do it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the streaming, your audience sort of determines a lot of that. And I've noticed too, if when I switch to Call of Duty, my numbers drop. So I can definitely understand why somebody would be like, I'm only going to stream the one that gives me the most numbers. Um, and that's, just when you're streaming as a business, I can understand that. I don't stream as a business. I stream because I think it's super fun. So I don't mind. I don't mind if I have one person watching me or if I have, 1,000. It doesn't necessarily affect me in terms of like me having fun. But I can definitely see why people would be like, I'm only gonna play this one game, and it's because, they've tested it and that's what their audience wants. So it's a hard thing. But in terms of just playing, I like I said, like I was playing Call of Duty hours on end every single night, and now I get to like go back and forth between two games. Sorry, my dog. Between two games. So it's kind of fun. It's like I like having the variety for sure.
And when you're playing Rivals, does it feel weird listening to yourself when you're playing Rivals?
Not weird. I'm still kind of like very excited about the fact that I get to be in this game. Um, so it's neat. I sort of forget that it's me sometimes, just because I've been playing every day, over and over and over. And so now I just like it's like wrote like I get it, like it's like repetitive, and so I'm just used to it now. But it's not weird. It's still cool, if anything. Like I still feel like it's kind of really neat.
At some point it eventually becomes white noise because the same thing with me where it's like I'm just constantly playing it I've listened to these lines so many times I'm like it's just white noise to me. I'm just like, what killed me? Oh, okay, that killed me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I can definitely see how that would be the case.
Especially when you've been playing since launch and it's like, yeah, I know these characters, I know how they work, I know everything about them and yada yada yada, and it's like, yeah. It's like I see what you're trying to do. Okay, like
Yeah, I joke that I'm lucky that my ult is just a horn, because I feel my co-stars whenever we're at a convention or something and everybody's like, "Hey, do your line, do your line." and they've got to do armed and dangerous 5,000 times. It must get really hard. So I just have the horn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there you go. It's like just it's a sound effect. It's like do the line. Well, it's a sound effect. So,
Uh,
you know.
Hilarious.
And speaking of cons, like how has that whole experience been like for you? Like what, because I know that the whole con circuit is a whole other beast in itself. Like,
It's been very neat, like very fun, very fulfilling, and also exhausting. It takes a lot of energy. You're there for 8 hours, talking to people, and it's hard because like I want to make the experience for whoever's coming up to me, yeah, fun and unique and memorable for them. But that does require a lot of energy, and like a lot of repetitive conversations, and uh, that ends up being kind of tough. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that anybody takes the time to come and talk to me and say hi, and if they ask for an autograph, like whatever it is, a photo. Like I've been a fan uh since long before this even started, and so I see it from their point of view the same way, because like I've gone up to people that I admire and ask for their autograph, and so I see it. I'm a fan first, and now I get to be the voice actor in a popular game that people like. It's kind of unique and also surreal in a weird way, because I'm getting to do like a lot of things that I always dreamed about doing, and it's actually happening. So that's really cool.
and seeing as you do a lot of cons and you meet a lot of people there, does it feel weird like having, someone come up to you and be like, wanting your autograph or telling you how much Namor means to them or what have you, or is it just like, part of the biz?
No, it's both. I mean, it is weird, but it's weird in a really neat way. Like it's weird to me in the sense that like I have to pinch myself that this is actually happening to me, because like I said, I was on the other side not long ago, and so that's the weird part. But I'm not weirded out by fans at all. I haven't had any like crazy experiences or anything, so it's not weird. It's more of like I hope I don't let you down kind of feeling. That's more of like my takeaway from everything is I hope that fan enjoyed this interaction that we just had and didn't walk away thinking, well, that sucked, because that would be like the saddest thing for me. I've met celebrities that I'm like, I can't wait to meet this person. And then you meet them and you're like, oh, that kind of sucked. So I hope I never give anybody that experience.
Yeah, it's especially annoying when you're trying to meet someone at a con and you're trying to talk to them about whatever, and then people are like, "I gotta keep the line moving," and I'm like, but I just got here." Ugh.
I mean, I see both sides. It's hard too sometimes when there is a line of people and you're there for a limited amount of time, and someone is and you're talking, and they don't seem to be aware that there are other people, but at the same time, like I said, like I try to make sure that everybody that comes up to me gets a good experience and a good exchange. So it's like a hard balance to keep of like I want to also make sure that the other person isn't annoyed for waiting an extra 20 minutes because the person in front of them, wouldn't move. So it's like a hard balance to keep everybody content and happy and also engaged and feel like they got something wonderful out of like a good experience. So I kind of see both. So far, nobody's really annoyed me, so it hasn't been an issue for me. It's been nice and fun.
Plus, like, you can say like, well, I mean, if if the line isn't too long, you can give everybody a 10-minute conversation. That'd be fine.
Totally, yeah. I mean, if I'm sitting there and nobody's around me and somebody comes up and wants to talk, great, let's talk. That's what I'm here for. But it is hard when there's like a line of people and you're like, okay, well, I would love to keep this conversation going, but I do also want to make sure that the person behind you doesn't feel, ignored. So yeah, it's like it's a tough balance, but like I said, so far it's been awesome, and I'm very happy with the interactions I've had so far.
And have you gotten a chance to meet any interesting people, any other interesting actors and or whoever, whomever interesting media personalities at these events?
Oh yeah, I mean, I like primarily cast members, the other day we were at a convention and I met a guy who voices a very well-known character on Call of Duty, and I've played with that character, so that was really cool to get to meet him. But I met him on a peer level, so that was neat. I also met another actor on our cast who happens to be awesome, and his wife was also at the event, and she's also awesome. So I feel like in terms of like getting to know other actors and people in my industry has been really neat because I would have never otherwise gotten a chance to meet them. So yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the positive of conventions. Like, seeing as you guys do work on something popular and you guys record separately, you don't get to meet, your castmates unless they're at a con or something, So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
positive, positive way to meet people. Anyway, like before I wrap this up, can you give us an update on what you're currently working on and where can people find you online?
Um, I I am working on a couple of things that I cannot share yet. Um, but I'm very excited for, and I got a couple of things that are potentials that I'm hoping work out. But speaking of NDAs, these are all super NDA'd, so hopefully soon I can share more information. I'm also going to be at a couple of bigger cons. We're confirmed that we're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, so that's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. And then there's a couple other conventions throughout the country that I'm excited about that are coming up that are still not locked down but are confirmed. Um, and in terms of where to find me, I'm Danger Marin or Danger Marin across all socials, including Twitch. So that's it. You can find me.
Thank you so much for taking the time up to do this. I know we had to reschedule this like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times at this point, but we
Yeah.
finally did it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I have two small kids and life and work and sicknesses and everything, and I'm glad we got to do it though.
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, at least I got two. At least I got two Marvel Rivals episodes done, so better than nothing. And plus, like, yeah, the only other Marvel Rivals actor I've had on here was Elia, so there you go.
There you go. Awesome, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and
Yeah.
let me know where I can find this episode.
Yeah, okay. I'll tag you on the socials when it's up, so you'll see it. So thank you again, and take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.